The 90s were a genuinely incredible decade for horror. You had slashers making a massive comeback, psychological thrillers redefining what the genre could do, and some of the most iconic villains ever put on screen. Whether you grew up watching these or you're discovering them for the first time, these 10 films represent the absolute best that 90s horror had to offer. Some of these are going to be obvious, some are going to surprise you. Let's get into it. Number 10. The Sixth Sense, 1999. We already talked about The Sixth Sense in our rewatch video, but it absolutely belongs on this list too. M. Night Shyamalan came out of nowhere in 1999 and delivered one of the most perfectly constructed horror films of the entire decade. Bruce Willis is great, but Haley Joel Osment is extraordinary. The twist changed the conversation around what horror movies could be, coming in at number 10 because, frankly, the competition this decade was just that strong. Number 9. Interview with the Vampire, 1994. Neil Jordan's adaptation of Anne Rice's novel is one of the most lush and atmospheric horror films ever made. Tom Cruise as Lestat is genuinely one of the most underrated horror performances of the decade. He is absolutely magnetic and terrifying in equal measure. Brad Pitt anchors the whole thing emotionally, and a young Kirsten Dunst nearly steals the entire film. It's gothic, it's operatic, and it holds up beautifully. If you haven't revisited this one recently, it's worth going back to. Number 8. Jacob's Ladder, 1990. Jacob's Ladder is one of the most genuinely disturbing psychological horror films ever made, and it came out at the very start of the decade. Tim Robbins plays a Vietnam veteran who starts experiencing terrifying hallucinations and can't tell what's real anymore. The imagery in this film directly inspired the entire Silent Hill franchise. Those neck-vibrating demons you know from the games, straight from Jacob's Ladder. It's bleak, it's confusing in the best possible way, and the ending absolutely wrecks you. Number 7. The Blair Witch Project, 1999. Love it or hate it, The Blair Witch Project changed horror forever. Made for $60,000, it became one of the most profitable films in history and essentially invented the found footage genre as we know it today. The genius of Blair Witch is what it doesn't show you. Your imagination does all the heavy lifting. Audiences in 1999 genuinely weren't sure if it was real. That kind of mass hysteria around a horror film has basically never happened before or since. It belongs on this list purely for its cultural impact. Number 6. Seven, 1995. Seven sits right on the line between thriller and horror, and it earns its place here comfortably. David Fincher created one of the most oppressive and genuinely disturbing viewing experiences of the entire decade. Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman are perfect together, and Kevin Spacey's John Doe is one of the most chilling villains in cinema history. The ending is one of the most devastating and unforgettable in film. Full stop. What's in the box has become one of the most quoted moments in 90s cinema for a reason. Number 5. Candyman, 1992. Bernard Rose's Candyman is one of the most intelligent and layered horror films of the entire decade. On the surface, it's a supernatural slasher about a hook-handed killer summoned by mirrors, but underneath it's a sharp exploration of race, urban poverty, and the way myths are used to control communities. Tony Todd's performance as Candyman is one of the greatest in horror history. His voice alone is terrifying. The score by Philip Glass is haunting and perfect. This film deserves way more credit than it gets as a genuine work of art. Number 4. Scream, 1996. Wes Craven essentially saved the slasher genre and reinvented it at the same time with Scream. The genius of this film is how self-aware it is. It's a horror movie about horror movies, and the characters know all the rules. The opening sequence with Drew Barrymore is still one of the most perfectly constructed horror set pieces ever filmed. Ghostface became an instant icon, and underneath all the meta-humor, there's a genuinely great whodunit thriller. Scream is just about as close to perfect as the slasher genre gets. Number 3. The Silence of the Lambs, 1991. The only horror film to ever win the Academy Award for Best Picture, and it absolutely deserved it. Jonathan Demme's masterpiece is as close to a perfect film as the genre has ever produced. Jodie Foster is extraordinary as Clarice Starling, but it's Anthony Hopkins who steals everything. His Hannibal Lecter is the greatest villain in cinema history, and he's only on screen for about 16 minutes total. The tension in every single scene between Clarice and Hannibal is unlike anything else ever committed to film. An absolute landmark. Number 2, Misery, 1990. Stephen King adaptations are hit or miss, but Misery is an absolute home run. Kathy Bates won the Oscar for Best Actress for her performance as Annie Wilkes, and it remains one of the greatest horror performances ever captured on film. The hobbling scene is one of the most viscerally uncomfortable moments in 90s cinema. You feel every single second of it. Rob Reiner somehow took a two-person chamber piece and made it feel as tense as any action movie. Misery is proof that you don't need monsters or supernatural elements to make something truly terrifying. Number 1, In the Mouth of Madness, 1994. John Carpenter's most underappreciated masterpiece, and honestly, one of the most genuinely unsettling horror films ever made. Sam Neill plays an insurance investigator sent to find a missing horror novelist whose books are literally driving readers insane. What follows is a descent into cosmic horror and reality-bending madness that Lovecraft himself would have been proud of. The film questions whether reality itself is just a story being written by someone else, and it does it in a way that genuinely gets under your skin. In the Mouth of Madness didn't get the attention it deserved on release, but it has quietly become one of the most respected horror films of the decade among genre fans. John Carpenter at his most ambitious and most terrifying. Easy number 1. So those are the 10 best horror movies of the 90s. And what a decade it was. The Silence of the Lambs at 3, Misery at 2, and In the Mouth of Madness taking the top spot because frankly John Carpenter deserves more flowers than he gets. I know some of you are going to be upset that certain films didn't make the cut. Drop your 90s horror picks in the comments. I genuinely want to see your lists. Check out our other horror rankings if you want more of this. Subscribe for a new video every Thursday, and I'll see you in the next one.